Pension plans are spoken about in the press quite regularly, and there is a lot of talk, and often there are stories, horror stories, of pension plans where people put money into pension plans and then did not end up getting their money back, or did not end up getting their savings in retirement, and ultimately ended up worse off by contributing to a pension plan. And I just want to talk very briefly about two broad categories of pension plans that have existed in history. The first type of pension plan is a defined pension plan, which is an older type of pension plan, an older type of system, which basically worked on the premise that one, as an employee, would contribute money to this defined benefit pension plan, and then upon retirement or shortly thereafter, one would get a defined benefit, which might be linked to previous year's, final year's salaries, or an average of the final 3 years' salaries, or some formula or some benefit that was somewhat linked to what would happen well into the future. And so what it would rely on is for us to make contributions over given periods of time of our employment, and then the benefit would be defined, hence the defined benefit plan. Now, what's happened in some companies is that at some one point, perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, these companies had many employees contributing to the pension plans when the defined benefit pension plans were set up. And now these companies have much lower number of employees and have many retirees drawing on these pension plans. And these pooled plans therefore are underfunded in that they're not able to meet the requirements of all of the retirees and their need for retirement income. And the problem was that it's very difficult to define a benefit and what that benefit can be at the time they were set up 20 or 30 years ago, what that benefit maybe should be into the future, and what the number of contributors to the pension plan would be, and what the number of retirees would be. Because clearly, if there are a significant number of people not paying into the funds but drawing from the funds, then there's an imbalance, and these pension plans can become underfunded. Furthermore, the companies are taking on the responsibility of managing, effectively taking on the responsibility of providing the pension benefit, which is often not their core business. For example, if they're in the automotive industry or in the airline industry. Now, most of these plans have been phased out, and almost all new pension plans, and this can always be checked, are defined contribution pension plans, which are significantly different and which are not the ones that are spoken about in the press. So today's pension plans, whether they're employer-sponsored pension plans such as 401ks, or the typical pension plans that exist in other countries, are known as defined contribution. And they operate on the premise is that what we put in as employees and the return that that fund delivers is what we end up with in retirement. In other words, it's like an account that we put money into, and depending on the investments that sometimes we can even choose, and the return that they deliver, we can end up with, that defines what we end up with in the end. So we're not dependent on the number of people paying into the funds or the number of retirees drawing from the funds, and it's largely like a personal account that we can put money into. And these types of pension plans are the prevalent pension plans today, defined contribution pension plans, which are often tax incentivized and therefore allow us to put money away tax-free and gain a return on it tax-free as well, and then draw in retirement. So it's effectively as we would be investing or saving outside of the pension plan, except that we're getting the tax benefits through the pension plan. And it's our contribution and the return that defines what we get out, and therefore the defined contribution plans. And these are not the plans that have been talked about in the press with such horror stories. So when people say that pension plans are very risky, this typically refers to the defined benefit pension plans of days gone by that are largely phased out. And today's defined contribution pension plans, such as employer-sponsored 401ks, have a significantly different risk profile, and what we get out in the end is defined by what we put in and the returns that we accumulate during the time that our money is invested.